Hi everyone, this is Renee from Meadowlark Mystic. Long time no video. I was inspired to do a VR to Candy over at Soul and Soil because she did a video on decks, something like big three tarot, to represent your three big star signs in your chart. So your rising, your sun, and your moon. And it's the first time in a long time that I've been inspired to do something like that. So I decided that I would just do a video response as soon as I could before I talked myself out of it. And I'm using a few decks to kind of give the ideas a little more cohesion. I don't know that much about astrology. And what I do know makes my own star signs kind of tricky. So I'll just jump in and give some resources to how I'm kind of thinking about things. So I do want to say, just like Candy did, that these are just my opinions about what I have seen in my own life and what I've seen with others, you know, with their signs. I'm not really good at guessing people's signs. I think that sometimes we all are different signs in our charts and also just in general. So, but I will say that a lot of the things that Candy shared about what she feels about Sagittarius in general, about curiosity, about passion, about, wanting to travel either in the mind or actually in real life is definitely true. I would say curiosity and humor, laughter is one of the things that I find really common in Sagittarians that I've met. So I'm sorry if I'm a little clunky. I haven't made a video in like almost a year. So anyway, I'm using the Blackmoon astrology cards to just kind of like inform a little bit of what I'm going to talk about. So real quick, my rising sign is Aries, and then my sun sign is Sagittarius, and then my moon sign is Gemini. So I have air and double fire. So I think that in terms of my personality, yeah, that seems to track. I will say that the way that Gemini is portrayed is, it seems so like it, the way that it's portrayed is superficial, and Geminis are portrayed as very can be very superficial and kind of gossipy. I think that that's kind of just like maybe when Gemini is in shadow, or maybe when Gemini is feeling insecure. I don't think that if you have Gemini, you're necessarily like a flighty gossip, but I do think that because Gemini is so centered on thought and is such a strong air sign, that it can get lost in thoughts. But I would say for my own my own star signs of rising, sun, and moon, Gemini has been the most problematic for me. Just because sometimes when I'll read something, I'll think, but I'm not like that. Like, for example, gossip. I'm a human being, so sometimes I'm interested in, like what's happening, but I'm not interested in hurting. I'm interested in information, but I'm not interested in like hurting people with that information. And I think that's an important nuance with Gemini. Anyway, I'm kind of going off topic, but I just, my star stuff is, and then Aries has a whole bunch of like weird shadowy stuff with it too. Like, they like to be the leader. They don't like to really check in with everybody who's a part of the team. They just kind of want to go their own way. Both of these signs tend to act first and think later. Actually, Sagittarius maybe a little bit too. And I'm a super conservative person, not like politically conservative. I'm conservative in that I save money and I don't frivolously spend or do things. I think things through, and I think that it's important to remember that whatever else is going on in your star chart is really important too. I've got some really strong placements, especially in Gemini, that kind of push that down. So Saturn is in my is in Gemini, and its placement actually makes me a deeper thinker than I think maybe I would be otherwise. But I do find this all interesting. And so, like, if you were to think about my themes of my life, it would be I am, I see, and I think. I'm not exactly sure how, like, this is rising. Yeah, I guess it would be kind of like that. I do get bored easily, so that's fair. That's a fair assessment. I do have really big plans, and I sometimes do not think about, well, how are you going to actually do those? But I will say that because I'm older, I hold my ideas gently, like lightly. So I might have like crazy ideas, like I'm going to move to San Francisco. And I'll think about it and daydream about it for a little bit. And then I'll just allow it to kind of move away because it doesn't have anything that's attracting it. It doesn't have anything that's stabilizing it. So, yeah, I am kind of changeable. And maybe that's why I really love tarot so much, because it kind of changes with me. So I just wanted to lay these cards out to kind of lay the groundwork in my own chart. I am very heavily in the 8th house. I have like 9 things in the 8th house. So what that means is my other houses don't have as much going on, but because I'm Aries rising, my house chart looks like kind of a blank chart, like how it's, 1, 2, 3, and then Aries, Taurus. It's not twisted like a lot of, like most people's houses. So I'm gonna move these to the side. Actually, I guess I'll leave these at the top. Oops, not this one. So Aries, Sagittarius, and Gemini. So when I was thinking about tarot decks that kind of tickle that sensibility, they're kind of all together. I tried to parse them out, like these are my Aries decks, and these are my Sagittarius decks, and these are my Gemini decks. But I find that I think about those signs all as a package together. And it might be because I find Gemini and Aries so difficult. I don't like to be the leader. I will be the leader if I have to, but I don't like it. And I very much feel like Sagittarius, but it's mostly in the mind. So I've traveled a lot in my life, but it wasn't really my idea. And I don't know that it was particularly fun for me. But I do really appreciate other cultures and languages, and but I will say that I travel a lot more in my mind. So I think the decks that I'm going to choose and share today are just kind of a combination of Aries, Sagittarius, and Gemini. And I think for me, when I was thinking about that, one of the things that really stood out about these decks, and this is the first one I'm going to share, is the Circle of Life Tarot, they're just a little odd. I'm going to kind of try to, yeah, they're a little odd, and they make you think. They can be taken in in different ways, which is, I think, my Gemini tendencies. There's not just one way to interpret it, which is also Gemini. I am an intuitive reader, as well as, I know the standard readings as well. And I don't know, I appreciate going my own way, which I guess would be Aries. And I also like looking at things from different perspectives. I'm always thinking about the larger picture, which I think is Sagittarius. I really appreciate beauty. I don't know if that has anything to do with either one of them. I love cards like this. So when you first see this card, you think, oh, isn't that nice? Eight of Wands, but the knife and the head, that's the kind of thing that I really like. And that could speak to the double fire in my chart. I don't really know, but yeah. So this deck, it's kind of got a fiery strangeness to it, which, yeah, I very much appreciate. Okay, so that is the Circle of Life Tarot. I don't think the backs really go, but whatever. And then in keeping with the very kind of weird, fiery nature, we've got the Mystical Tarot. What I think is strange about this deck is she is not in the deck, which was kind of a bummer when I got it. This deck was kind of an asshole when I first got it. This is trimmed and I kind of edged it, but it's kind of worn off, which I kind of like. The backs are so bizarre. They're the weird sea creatures. This deck, yeah, was kind of an asshole because it just would throw out just not nice cards when I was reading with it. And I didn't give up. I tried to work with it, and then it became like a really great deck. So I don't know if any of you have seen, I haven't really been part of like the tarot group communities, but there's some new tarot content creators that, I don't know, some of their interpretations are really interesting. I'm not going to say the name of the channel because there might be a whole bunch of controversy I don't even know about. But anyway, I've been enjoying it. So yeah, this deck looks, you know, kind of like, oh, it's just a Rider-Waite, but it's much weirder than that. And I like that, and I think it kind of goes with my, I don't know, my star sign setup. Like, the throne is almost like a woman, or like, I think actually that might be nodding to a goddess in the Slavic pantheon, or the doll with the cross on the face. I really love this Eight of Wands. And this is such a, you know, sad, whatever, it's, you know, it's the Ten of Swords. But then look at the sky. The sky's so amazing. And then there's that creepy owl. And I love owls. And this guy with the lion's head here at the bottom. And then the strange, I don't know, is this like a landing pad or something? It looks like a Star Wars landing pad. And then, I don't know, what is that? So anyway, this deck, very fiery, very strange. It can be read in so many different ways. So that is my second one. Keeping along the lines of like odd but kind of cute is this one. Tarot of the Magical Forest. This is a Taiwanese artist. And this has been trimmed. I just love this deck. It's so odd. And there's like space in the cards for kind of wonder. I think that's also an aspect of Sagittarian nature that I resonate with. Curiosity, but also wonder. And I will say most of the Sagittarians I have met have been particularly, oh my goodness, there's like, are those swans? Anyway, there's all these white birds way up in the sky. If I wasn't filming, I'd get my binoculars out. Wonder. So this deck, not only does it make me laugh, like even when I'm sad, I'll be able to chuckle a little bit. There's also a sense of wonder in this deck, a sense of connecting with the inner child. And I think Candy mentioned that too. Sagittarian energy can be very youthful. And I think all three of these signs, Aries, Sagittarius, and Gemini, can have a very youthful energy to it. And this deck is, you know, if nothing else, it's very youthful. Oh my God. Yeah, I love this deck. So weird. It's weird and cute in the best way possible. And yeah, love it. So that is Magical Forest. I guess as I'm talking about my star signs, it's coming into a little more like clear focus, like what I think about it. This one is also, this is the Fairy Lights Tarot. This one also has like a wonder, and there's a child like a wonder to it, but then there's the Aries, like fire and honesty about it. Like I would say, I guess Gemini is the one that people sometimes say, oh, you know, they're not always honest. And in the defense of Gemini, I would say that, like, this guy looks, ooh, got a lot of Aries going on. I would say in the defense of Gemini, maybe they can just see both sides of an issue. So with one person, they're like, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And then with the other person, they're like, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And then when the two come together, it's like, wait a second. I think this Lovers card is so interesting because they've both been like skewered by this guy's. It looks like a lance, but I guess it's supposed to be an arrow. It's kind of like, ooh, is that a good thing? I don't know. Yeah, I like this deck. It's weird, and I like it for its weirdness. Like, look at the Nine of Wands. There's like people in there. Are they stuck? I don't know. Oh, and I did change. So I put this as the Page of Wands. I did, yeah, that's right. I changed some of the court cards. So I put this guy as the King of Pentacles. Oh no, he is the King of Pentacles. Oh, he is supposed to be the King of Cups, but I really felt like it looked more like the King of Wands. So I did switch, and then this guy is the King of Cups, which is kind of weird, but then this guy is the King of Swords. I know. It's just up, you know, it's like whatever. Oh, look at this moon card, so good. Okay, so that is the Fairy Lights Tarot, and that is more of the like wonder, weirdness. Just do, you know, kind of just do your own thing. I will say that that is definitely a hallmark of Aries. It's just like, yeah, don't give a shit. Just do your own thing. The next deck is the Tarot del Fuego. I'm double fire, so this deck is all about the fire. And this deck is actually, it's a really, it's a lot more gentle than you'd think it would be. It can call you out, but it's also kind of lovely. The cards are a little twisted, I don't know why. The Pentacles in this deck is the kind of like, I think the author or the creator of this deck was like calling out greed and stuff. So that's why the Pentacles deck is pretty rough. But yeah, this art style, fiery, in your face. You can take it so many different ways, which is easy for a Gemini brain to do that. You know, all the star signs have shadow and light. All the star signs can be in their exaltation or in their fall, depending on your chart. So, yeah. Like the Eight of Pentacles. It's like, okay. Yeah. Okay, so that is Tarot del Fuego. I would say this is a very Aries, fiery, you know, because Aries is the beginning of the, like a new cycle, and currently we're beginning a very large cycle with Neptune and Saturn both moving into Aries. Neptune will be in Aries for a very long time. So, you know, there's a lot of fiery stuff going on right now. I thought this deck was cool to share. We're talking about astrology and, you know, things that I like. This is the Symbolon deck. It's very odd. It is an astrology deck as well as divination. You really only use, wow, it's really warped. I think it's because this house is gets very humid in the summer. So like this is Gemini, Pisces, what is that? Mercury and Neptune. So, and then I've got like, what's going on with that? And this would be Gemini, Aries, Mercury, and Mars. All of the imagery is explained, but it's a weird, it is a weird deck. Leo, oh, there's Aries, that's me. Sun, and then Mars. This is just all, this is like all fire, all can go so wrong, and often it does. Sometimes I feel like we're caught in this right now. Yeah, anyway, I mean, these are pretty tame, but they can get really weird and dark. This gave me one of the most powerful readings a few years ago. And so this deck will always kind of have a soft place in my heart. Yeah, so I guess the lighting is not very good, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do it by a window, but it's a little shaded. So yeah, that is the Symbolon. And it's a very like fiery, weird, curious, fantastical. I guess my Sagittarian sun sign makes me interested in like fantastical things. The After Tarot, I like it. These are, like I said, these are decks that when I thought about all of my star signs together, they just kind of, I don't know, they just kind of jumped out. I wonder if I move this, the whole thing's gonna fall, so I should not do that. I wonder, no, I really should not mess with this. I like this. I like the traditional art style that the creator tried to imbue in the cards, but then, you know, one step further. And I really appreciate that. Like Candy was saying, I think Sagittarians, when we see like a doorway, we want to walk through it. And this After Tarot kind of like, well, what if we did step into the scene and the next thing happened? And so the cloud's like, okay, bye. And then she's like, oh, they left. And the people are like, ouch, or whatever. So anyway, I like this deck for its kind of like answer to the curiosity of what happens next in the Rider-Waite-Smith. Yeah, this is a good deck. And also with the way that the creator or the artist tried to mimic Pamela Coleman Smith's art, I find it really works well. And it's very restrained, but it feels very, I don't know, very like fiery to me. This deck is called the Stone Tarot. I don't think I've ever seen anyone else talk about it. These are the backs. I've trimmed it, and this just reminded me of, I don't know, the combination Sagittarius, Aries, and Gemini. All the things. The art style is, I think she said these are all oil paintings. And I don't know, I really love it. Like even, yeah, like this, this speaks to Aries, Sag, and Gemini all right there. This is the Stone Tarot. Oops, nudity. I was gonna also show the, oh shoot, what's the name of that? I've totally spaced out. Maybe it'll come to me. Just like the magic deck. I can't remember. Anyway, I was gonna show that one too, but I didn't. You have no idea what I'm talking about because I can't remember what the name of it is. Okay, Minoan Tarot. Now, you might think, well, the Minoan Tarot is like super water, and I don't have any. I'm trying to think of. Well, I do have a little bit of water, but come on, is Scorpio really water? Just kidding. This deck, even though it's watery, you know, it's the blue and it's about the Minoan civilization, the backs are like this like ritual. I forgot the name of this axe. It's not an axe. It's like a ritual something or other. But anyway, it just reminds me of like Aries energy that's been grounded. And I also think that a lot of times when we think about Aries energy, it's very masculine. You know, and fire is often masculine, but there's, you know, there's feminine and masculine to all of the elements and signs. So I would say that this kind of reminds me of Aries energy that's like feminine and empowered, but in a way that's like cooperative, which is not how you think about Aries at all. Yeah, this is a beautiful deck. The Minoan Tarot by Ellen Lorenzi Prince. Beautiful, very Aries, I feel like. And then with the like freedom, you know, some of them don't have clothes and like the strange shards, the storytelling, the myth that seems to be involved, it reminds me of Sagittarius too. That is the Minoan Tarot. The Minoan Tarot. Okay. I've got 2 decks left. And then, I don't even know why, the Sun and Moon Tarot. I'm not really sure why, but when I was thinking about all my signs together, this came to mind. This has been trimmed. This is such a beautiful deck. I think maybe because of the thoughtful nature that's in the swords suit. And I know that sounds redundant. I guess what I mean by that is the more gentle nature of the swords suit. Because my Gemini moon means that I spend a lot of time thinking about things. Even though I've got double fire, there's a contemplation that comes with Gemini, and it can be paralyzing if you don't watch out. That doesn't happen with me, probably because of my other placements and maybe the Aries. But I can see how you could get tied in knots if Gemini was like your main, like you had a lot of Gemini, just because Geminis can see all the different sides of everything almost. But the Sun and Moon Tarot, it kind of felt like this is like a balanced Sagittarius, Aries, and Gemini. Maybe because it has a lot of earth and water with it. But I really love this deck. I think I like it because the figures have no features. And so you can project your own feelings into the cards, and so maybe it like quiets my like Gemini want to figure it all out, because there's nothing to figure out. The cards can be stand-ins for what you want. And I don't know, I find this deck very like calming but activating. Like even the 10. Yeah, I guess I really like how the sword suit is in the air. And so it kind of reminds you that a lot of the things that happen in the sword suit are not happening in real life. They're happening in the realm of thought. And I think for Gemini moon, it's important to remember that. Okay. So that is the Sun and Moon. And then my last, and you know, I didn't think about this like super hard, because I was like, we better just do this or we're not gonna do it. Is the Voyager. And I've told this on my channel many times, but I hated this deck when I first saw it. I was like, oh my God, who would ever want that? Like, it's so ugly. I do not feel that way now. And I even created my own collage deck. Yeah, so I think sometimes with Aries, Sagittarius, and Gemini, you can just like want all the things and want them as fast as possible. And this deck definitely gives you all the things as fast as possible. And at first it's like, oh my God, too many things. But when you read with this deck over time, it does kind of calm down a little bit. But for my kind of chatty Gemini moon, not just chatty, but like so curious, you know, like so curious, like very much child of crystals. Yeah, so over time I've learned to like really appreciate this deck. You know, it's done old school with the cutouts and all the things, and I know there's a lot of collage decks now, but this deck was kind of its own thing for a while. I think one of the things that people still don't like about this deck is that it's like super busy, although this one's not busy. And I think another thing that I remember a while ago, years ago now, somebody didn't like the gendered nature of the court, which I think it's just man, woman. I'm trying to wait till I get to one. Man and woman and sage and child. And that's fair. Like, you know, not everything has to be man and woman. Like, it probably would have been better to be like, I don't know, male and female instead of man and woman. I'm getting lost in my own thoughts. Yeah, so anyway, this is the Voyager Tarot, and I would say, like, that's funny. One of the words that I think would sum up Aries, Sagittarius, and Gemini would be, yeah, a voyager or an explorer. Somebody who's like, yeah, let's go. I often do that in my mind. And if you like want to have a super strange, far-ranging conversation that is literally bounces all over the place, I am the person. I am the person to have that conversation with, because that's like one of my love languages. Is random, deep, odd, roaming conversations. All right, thank you if you've gotten to the end of the video. I hope you're doing well. I hope this made sense. I tried to make it just before I could think about it too much, and I will talk to you again soon.